Mercado Airwaves is brought to you by supporters at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can see all of Nicole's work at typingwhentipsy.wordpress.com. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. It's the best night of the week. We hope you're hungry for Pizza Night with Niki and Mike here on Mercado Airwaves. Now, here are your hosts for Pizza Night, Nicole Mancha and Mike Mercado.
Welcome in, friends, to another episode of Pizza Night with Niki and Mike. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, as always, joined with the lovely Nicole Mancha. Nicole, how are you?
Hello. Wonderful. It's cold and gross and snowing.
That was enthusiastic. I love it. We have a very cool episode for you guys. It is a Valentine's Day special. It is a two-parter. This week, we are going to look everything into Valentine's Day. The dates, the do's, the don'ts, presents, all of that in between. And next week, we have a very cool episode that Nicole will talk about at the end of this one. But, really fast, Nicole, before we get into it, what are your general thoughts about Valentine's Day?
I don't really celebrate Valentine's Day. It's my least favorite of the holidays besides Thanksgiving.
Okay, I don't think it's a holiday in the same level as Thanksgiving.
No, but I think to some people it is. I think to some people it's really, that idea of celebrating that person that you love and having a reminder to do so.
I think it's as much of a holiday as President's Day is.
Oh, I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. But again, like you said, I do respect the idea that a lot of people do take this holiday very seriously. People take certain days very seriously.
Right.
I think, it's a cliche, but I definitely think you don't need one day to show anybody anything. And on top of it, that's what anniversaries are for, so on and so forth. But because it is such a big deal, and, for all things being equal, if it's an excuse for people to be nice to each other and to show some love, cool. Whatever. You know what? I'm not going to, rain on the parade. So let's get into maybe helping some people out. Let's go first into it. Present-wise, is the safest present to get chocolate and candy, right? Candy and flowers, right? Real safe, easy.
Yeah, I think it's safe and easy. I think I would hope you would know kind of what they like. You got to gauge it, right? Because you don't want to go too mushy-gushy and you don't want to be too... It depends on where you're at in your relationship.
Let's break it up. Let's say let's say on a first date, let's say somehow a first date lands on a Valentine's Day.
Okay, that should never happen.
It shouldn't ever happen. But let's just say, for sake of the episode, first date on Valentine's Day, should it be bare minimum just anything that you do on a standard date?
If you can find a restaurant, then yes.
Yeah, because that's like horrible. Again, you're dealing in reality, but let's say you found it.
No, I understand, but what I'm saying is that just you never plan a first date on Valentine's Day. Like that's the first thing is don't ever plan a first date on Valentine's Day. You're setting the bar really high, and it's a height that you don't know if you're going to be able to get again. I was listening to the radio, and they had this couple on, that what was it? You know what I'm talking about? Kiss FM does it, where you don't get a call back, second date, like what happened? And they call this girl and they're like, what happened? He wanted a second date and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, I mean, he was really nice, but he planned our second date for Valentine's Day. And she's like, it felt very serious to me. Like, that's not something you do on a second date. And I'm like, that's so true. You don't do any of the first couple if it's Valentine's Day. And that's not saying that you can't be like, happy Valentine's Day, like a short little text, like, hey, just so you know, I'm thinking of you. But to go out and do dinner, I mean, you need to make reservations like weeks in advance for any decent restaurant. And there's just a higher expectation.
So then let's say 3 months in. What is the...
I think chocolate and flowers is a really safe bet. I think if your girl or guy is not into chocolate or flowers, you could do like a teddy bear, a card. I think cards go a really long way. Like the sentiment is there and they know that you took the time to write something sweet to them. A lot of times it's the smaller things that they appreciate. If you're in a warmer climate, maybe doing like a picnic. So if you guys aren't big on the whole, restaurant scene, because not everybody likes to go out to restaurants, you know what I mean? Or doing something at home that's really nice, like setting up a like a nice at-home dinner and cooking for that special person. I think that's really simple and easy, and it shows that you put in the work, but you're also not going overboard.
And what about then at a 6-month period leading into Valentine's Day?
I think you can get a little bit more serious with your gifts. I think it's really about like the monetary amount, right? So like, I think at 3 months, I think $20-25 is fine. It's about putting the effort in. I think once you hit that 6-month mark, you're kind of passing that point, like depending on your age. But I think that like around our age, that if you were to take me out on Valentine's Day, I'd probably expect like a nice dinner or something of that nature. You don't want to seem like you're not invested, because I think especially around like mid-20ish, you're kind of in that frame of mind of you're looking for something a little bit more serious. And that's not everybody, but I think a lot of times, especially if you're going out on Valentine's Day past that mark, we're talking like a nice dinner. You're going to up the ante a little bit, that kind of thing.
So then let's say we're at a 1-year mark. So this is everything we've kind of been talking about is in the age group of, let's just say 21 to 28, 29. Let's say in your 20s, just since that's the age group we're living in. So 1-year mark, first Valentine's Day together into your first year together.
I think jewelry's good. I always think jewelry's a pretty safe bet unless she doesn't like it. You can always do perfume. Just be careful with what you get. Try and look for things that she already has. Like that's the biggest thing is, it's always nice to get something from your significant other that's personal, but don't make it so personal to the fact that like they're not going to like it. So look at stuff that they have, look at pieces of jewelry that they have, or certain things that really mean a lot to them, and you can get a gift from that. So don't buy, if you see that like her favorite perfume has like just a little itty bit left, get a new one of those, that specific one. Don't go rogue. That's the biggest thing. So
we've kind of broken down kind of the stages of it. Once we get to the 1-year mark, I think it's just 1+. Then it's just kind of getting creative and topping it and like doing certain things. So let's go into that then. Perfume, you're saying for like, I think perfume is a little bit of a tough gift to get because people's noses and senses, they work differently. So I think that's a really cool trick, a little cool hack of, just look at what she has, take a picture of it, show it to the adults in the counter, and be like, she wants this one, and that's it. Like you move on with your life. But let's talk about jewelry, because we talked about this a while back. I mean, we're already episode, I think, 13 or something, but I think I don't like mixing holidays with special occasions.
Sure.
Like I've told you that, like I would never propose to somebody on their birthday, on Valentine's Day, on 4th of July, on things like that, because those days
already have a day.
Like that's a day for something already. So Valentine's Day, I feel like the jewelry has to be something like nice but practical. So it's like earrings, but earrings that they can wear every day. Or if it's like for a guy, a wallet they can wear every day. Or
a watch.
Or a cool t-shirt or something like that. Like something very practical. Opposed to like an anniversary, which is a little bit more intimate. Because Valentine's Day is very much a commercial holiday. Not hating on it, but it is. So let's celebrate it the way it's supposed to be celebrated.
I think that with Valentine's Day, you want to do something special. I think it also depends on how much the other person is into it. Because I know, both men and women, but from my side, mostly women who are very into Valentine's Day. Like, it's a really big deal to them. They do expect something really thoughtful and nice. And especially if they've been with their partner for a while, they have these expectations that they've kind of created. And I think it's nice as the other person to kind of be like, hey, they're really into it. Just because you're not into it doesn't mean that they're not into it. And I think that it's with anything else that we've talked about, it really comes down to that compromisation of like, are you just not going to do something because it's not going to make her happy, it's going to make her upset or hurt her feelings, and like by not just going 5 minutes out of your way to do something small, you've now created a larger problem. So making that reservation a month beforehand, or go on Amazon. Like, Amazon is a treasure trove, especially, that's another thing. If you guys have an Amazon account together, like, girls will put things on their wish list, or you can see their history of things that they've looked at before. Like, find something, if you're more into like practicality and that's how you kind of feel about it, like you don't want to get like jewelry or something, maybe look for something that they want. Don't get like cast iron pan. But, you know, if they had something that you think looks kind of cute, something that they probably won't buy for themselves, but they've looked at a couple of times, do that. Let them know that you care. Let them know that you thought about them and you actually put that time and effort into it. And Amazon is so easy. It delivers to your house.
I consider, now just because I consider Valentine's Day a President's Day type of holiday, I treat it as a mini like Easter / Christmas / like birthday type of thing where it's like, it's more of a free day to give somebody something. Like you don't have to buy them a new television, but like it's not every day you get them, a expensive thing of chocolate, or you get them a nice T-shirt, or you get, like you said, like just I do feel you do have to be realistic about things. Like I think as you get older, it's a little bit cooler, like, to kind of splurge a little bit more. Like, and I'm talking about older. I'm talking about like 50s and 60s, like to really enjoy that. But anything before that, it's just very much like an appreciation, but also kind of like, hey, I thought of you getting this. It was $10, or I thought of you and it was $50. Like it's just very nonchalant, very chill. Like I know a lot of people. It's like I want to eat at a top level.
Top tier restaurant.
It's like, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, but why do that on Valentine's Day when you could do that on a Thursday night? It's like, seriously, and that's not the cliche of, you hate Valentine's Day or I show my love every day. I don't need a specific day for it. And it's like, that's cool. No, you're right, but like, let's be real about it. Like, you don't show the appreciation or like each other that love every day because life goes on, life happens.
Right.
Like,
I think it's a good reminder.
It's a great reminder, but it doesn't need to be a spectacle that people want it to be.
No, you don't have to make it a spectacle. Like I said, I think it really just depends. Like my mom was never super into Valentine's Day, but my parents both worked a lot when we were kids, and there was 4 of us. There was 4 of us, 2 dogs, a cat. Like our house was crazy. So my dad always made sure to go out of his way to like get my mom a gift, like to get her, she loves to get like pedicures. So she'll get like a pedicure or something, and then roses and chocolates, just something for her. And then as I got a little bit older, he got me chocolate. So that's our tradition now, is like, and he got it from my little brother, but obviously my brother doesn't care about that now. Yeah. Like he doesn't need chocolate from his dad. So but me and my stepsister, he always gives us chocolate.
And I think that's a little different than that's a
but
father.
It's a tradition at this point. Like this is what we do. But I never really had high expectations for Valentine's Day because I knew that it wasn't that important to my mom and my dad. Like they like to spend time together, but it's one thing where like their date night falls on Tuesdays, and this year Valentine's Day happens to fall on a Tuesday, and they're not going out because they're like, it's going to be crazy. Like we're not dealing with it. But it's, my dad will never forget to do something for her.
I think that, to me, that's bottom line. Like, that the biggest truth of it all is, like, you just can't forget it's Valentine's Day.
Right.
Like,
it doesn't, nothing big.
It almost, I will say, it's more important to remember that it's Valentine's Day than it is to actually
do anything
celebrate.
Super,
so here's the thing. You are more likely, the trouble that would come for forgetting Valentine's Day is much more, it's much bigger and impactful than doing something for Valentine's Day. So you could do a lot of great things for Valentine's Day, right? And I'm not even talking about men or women. I'm talking about anybody who feels this is a huge day and you better show me how much you love me, right? So let's say you do something really nice, not something from the movies, but something really nice.
Right.
They'll remember that forever. It'll be great impact. It's a memory you treasure together, right?
Yeah.
But let's say that same couple, one of the people forgot it was Valentine's Day and the whole day nothing happened. That's way more impactful than the other one. So it doesn't matter what you have as long as you acknowledge it.
Yeah.
It's what we talked about last week. It's acknowledgement and showing some form of attention that you didn't forget about this. You know what? You're right. Life happens. Maybe you were too busy to get us that restaurant. Maybe, financially you can't afford it because we're buying this new car, or we're going on this vacation, or maybe one of your parents passed away and your heart is somewhere else. Like, thousands of things can happen.
Yeah.
But just that idea that you remembered that. You were somewhere in your brain, your tiny little ape mind, you remembered this stupid date means a little something more than the day before and the day after.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think to me, the days that you come home with flowers for me, just random days, are always going to be more important because there was nothing to remind you. You just thought of something to do nice for me. And I appreciate that. But it is something where you do want a text or like, hey, like last year, I think you messaged me in the morning and said happy Valentine's Day. And we were both working all day and I had left a card for you or like a note or something for you on the fridge. Like just knowing that that person went out of their way, because when you are in a relationship or you do care about somebody, you want them to know that they're not the only person that didn't get wished a happy Valentine's Day from the person who actually has a Valentine, right? Like, it's thinking one step ahead. You never want to be the only person who didn't say, hey, happy Valentine's Day. I know we don't really celebrate, but I just wanted to let you know that I love you and I appreciate you. It's not, if you can take 30 seconds to like write a mean tweet, you can take 30 seconds.
It's just remembering somebody. It's obviously, it's not the same as a birthday, but it's a sentiment that February 13th doesn't mean anything. February 15th doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Unless it's somebody's birthday or anniversary. But typically, the 13th and the 15th don't mean anything.
Right.
The 14th means something. So it's just that acknowledgement that, like, on this day that we as a society have deemed to be an important day, fine.
Yeah.
I remember that. Even all my negativity towards it, I will still acknowledge the fact that, you know, even if you care about it 1% more and that 1% is 29 to 28, it's like, fine, that's more than enough that it takes to, if it's 1% or more, that means that you care somewhat of it.
Right.
So you have to show them that percentage.
It's always what I tell you all the time. Like, it doesn't matter how you feel.
Yeah, it's how the other person
It's
feels.
how the other person feels. And it sounds really shallow and kind of mean when you first say it.
Because it kind of is, but like,
it's the point of, like, just because you don't agree with something, right, if the other person feels strongly about it, you should take it into consideration. It's not saying that they don't take it into consideration, that you don't care, but you need to take into consideration they do care. Like, you're not a birthday person at all. Like,
I'm not my birthday
yeah,
person.
exactly. But the thing is I make a big deal out of your birthday. I also make a big deal out of my birthday, and I go all out, like, cuckoo crazy on my birthday. Like the princess of the world on my birthday. But you don't take that away from me, because even though you don't really care about birthday parties or whatever, you know it's important to me.
And that's not for me to take away from you.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing with any holiday. Like, there are holidays that I just don't feel strongly about. There are holidays you don't feel strongly about.
You and I talk, and this is, this is, 10 months early, but, or maybe 2 months late, but I feel a certain way about Santa Claus. If anybody's listening to this that have children that
listen to us, I hope not.
About Santa, if you're
questionable parenting moment.
Spoiler alert. So 1, 2, 3. So I don't think I would ever want to teach my children about Santa.
Right.
You do. Again, it's not for me to take away from them. So just because I have a personal thought about it, be like, I have my own theory why you shouldn't teach kids that Santa exists. That's not for me to take away. That's not my thing to say, no, you can't have that because I don't like it. So, like, it goes into it's the same thing about Valentine's Day. It's just because I don't think a heart-shaped box full of chocolate really signifies my love for somebody. I
mean, a little bit, but.
Yeah, but what's more important is if I share it with you.
Yeah.
Not so much that I bought it because I expect to have some. It's if I give it to you and I give you more of the half that I got. So if you get 51%, I get 49%, that should show you commitment levels right there. But it's one of those holidays where I'm not even gonna say holidays. It's one of those days that it's fun and it's cool because it does bring a spotlight to it. And it also, I think it's therapeutic because you get to kind of see the other side of the spectrum. Like, I remember for the longest time being single, I went through stages. There were points where I enjoyed it because it was a day at a party.
Right.
And then there was times where I hated it because it was everybody had something that I wanted. So you get to see people's real emotion around this time of year.
No, I agree. I think it's, Valentine's Day, it's like, it's any of the holidays. Valentine's Day is like the straggler holiday, I like to call it. Like the really emotional holidays that people get, you know, very attached to are like Christmas, Thanksgiving, things like that, because you go home to see your family.
Right.
You know, and you want to have someone to bring home to show off to your family.
Well, see, I don't know how much that's just maybe more of a woman thing. Like,
yeah, it just depends. Or like people want to be with somebody on like New Year's Eve and
I think that's
Christmas.
more true. Not so much that they want to bring them to their family, but they don't want to be alone
on the holidays. Especially, and you know, Valentine's is that straggler holiday.
Sure.
You know, like the cuffing season that started in the fall. Now you're about 6 months in, and you're kind of at that point where, you know, it's either going to stick or it's not going to stick because spring's right around the corner. So I think that Valentine's Day is just one of those kind of holidays that you either love it or you hate it, and even if you feel a certain way, you have to think about how the other person feels. I mean, I'm not a really big I'm not a big Valentine's Day person. I truly enjoy chocolate, so whenever you bring chocolate home for me, it's a good day.
Right. Yeah.
But like chocolate is like my bae. So but you know, it's nice to like have it recognized. But it's not something I think we necessarily go out for. Like this year on Valentine's Day, if we do like Chinese food, I'll be happy. Like that's to me it's a good day.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I agree. So kind of putting a bow on this kind of brainstorming of gifts and kind of the levels and the time frames of each one. What are some final thoughts and advice you give anybody when it comes to
Sure.
buying these gifts, and how far in advance should they do it, and you know, any good little detours to kind of get people off the scent of things, or without like one thing I like to do is I like to ask you, like when I get a gift, I'm not even going to tell you how you do this because it's going to be a spoiler, but like there's little tricks that you could do to kind of find out what gifts they want or what they've been talking about or what's been on their mind, right?
I think it's always good if you're close enough to their friends and or family, you can always ask them. Like mostly their mom or their sisters is always a good call. I think that when you bring the parents and stuff into it, sometimes it gets a little complicated. But if you're close to them, if you guys have been together for a while and you're like, hey, what has she been talking about that she really wants, you know? I think if you haven't been together very long, I'm talking like less than 3 months or so, or less than 6 months, honestly, just be careful about what you're getting, and I wouldn't get it too far in advance. You're so new and you're so fresh, and like I feel like 6 months is a really like weird time because you're in honeymoon phase, but I feel like you're starting to kind of come out of it a little bit. Like you're starting to see those things that kind of irk you, and you know, if you don't make it past that 6 month phase, then you're going to be real upset about that thing that you bought that you can't return. So I always say like no jewelry. That's not a good way to go in the very beginning. I mean, if you're like a teenager, I'm sure they all do that, but that's just because that's what teenagers do. But like when you're closer to our age, I think, you know, flowers, candy, stuffed animals, something sweet and sentimental always works really well for that. And then maybe like dinner or doing dinner with like some flowers, you know, just that, hey, I put effort into this. So kind of that way.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So, yeah, I think that was a really cool little part one of this this conversation. We're going to have a lot of fun in part two. Mm-hmm. We're going to let you know what that's all about. But before we do that, I want to kind of ask you a couple questions of Valentine's Day theme type of thing. So let's go ahead and get right to it. What would you enjoy more, a picnic or a fancy restaurant dinner?
Picnic. I don't really like fancy restaurant dinners when there's that many people there. Like I like fancy restaurant dinners once in a while, but it's literally packed to the gills and they're like rushing you out because somebody else is in that next spot. So I think picnic, or even if you're comfortable enough, dinner at home, like if you're at that level with your significant other, like it'd be nice to come home and see dinner is being made and I don't have to do anything. You know, things like that, like things that just make that your partner feel special. Or if you know that she always cooks all the time and you're going to be home later, bringing home dinner, like things like that, I think is really thoughtful.
Okay, here's a Sophie's choice for you: flowers, stuffed animals, or chocolate.
Chocolate.
Why?
Because I love chocolate. Chocolate is like my favorite thing.
What's the best chocolate to get on Valentine's Day?
Oh, okay. So I'm not a good person to ask. Pixies are probably the most popular. Those are the ones you got me when we went on our like first like real date. You got me Pixies, and those are my mom's favorite candy. They're really good. They're chocolate and caramel and peanuts, so it's delicious. My personal favorite is the Trinidad's, which are the coconut on the outside, and it's fudge on the inside, like just creamy fudge. I'm like salivating right now. Like I'm literally like, that sounds so good. But those are what my dad gets me every year because those are my favorite. I think if you don't know what someone likes, flowers are a safe bet though. Always a safe bet. I don't think I've ever met somebody who goes, oh, I just hate flowers. And if they do, I feel like you need to reevaluate because that was a really thoughtful thing that you did for them to not appreciate. All
right. Last one. Favorites Valentine's Day movie to watch?
Oh, rom-coms. For me, it's probably Pretty in Pink.
It's a good one. I would.
I love, or 16 Candles.
16 Candles, I would say, is definitely more of a Valentine's Day movie.
They're both. I mean, they're both good. Like,
those
are. I mean, those two and The Breakfast Club are my top 3 movies of all. I think Love Actually is a really good one. That one's super popular to watch on Valentine's Day. There's one movie I haven't watched, and my sister watches it every year. It's P.S. I Love You. Okay. I've never watched it because I just don't think my heart can handle it. So, but I think those are some good ones. You got some oldies and some,
Very interesting. I really like.
Princess Bride. I think I made you watch that.
Princess Bride is good, but I wouldn't consider that a Valentine's Day movie.
It's a love movie.
No, it's a love movie, but then in that case, like anything is a love movie. Like, Batman has love in it, so.
No.
I would go with something like. I would go with something like maybe. I come up with something.
Dead Air.
No, it's okay. I'll edit out the Dead Air.
I thought you were gonna be a smartass and say Medea something. Do you watch rom-coms?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of rom-coms. I think rom-coms are really entertaining.
They're fun.
They're fun.
Bridget Jones are funny.
Yeah, I think what makes a good rom-com is being able to relate to the character in some way. Because a lot of rom-coms, what makes a bad rom-com is when it's too much of a movie, if that makes any sense. Like, this idea of, okay, I can feel for that character. Like, perfect example of a great rom-com type of television show was How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
For the longest time, those characters were relatable. And then as soon as it kind of hits that course where they become caricatures of those original characters.
Okay.
And they become that to the extreme. So I feel like a really good rom-com, like maybe my favorite rom-com is Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
That one's a good one.
I feel like in that movie, Jason Segel plays not necessarily anybody in particular, but he plays the type of person who's ever gone through that. I think Mila Kunis is just girl next door enough in that movie to make you seem like these are two everyday people, even though they're like Hollywood famous and all that. Like, there's a sense of reality in there where like they're goofy enough, but they're not over the top goofy. They're not Jim Carrey, and like she's not Jennifer Aniston in a rom-com. He's not Vince Vaughn in a rom-com. They're great in what they've done in their rom-coms, but they're not. They're very Hollywood eyes. Yeah, they're very glamour.
So Jennifer Aniston. Along Came Polly. I think
that's
a really good
great
rom-com.
One. No, there's some great rom-coms.
I think Forgetting Sarah Marshall was great because it's not like anybody became a cajillionaire at the end, and they that
one always touched me the most. Like when it comes to a little bit of having the emotion of everything in there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really good one. Like I said, I just tend to go towards like the 80s classics. Like those are just ones, yeah. Those are just where my heart is. Like that's what I love. So I think that's why I tend to watch those around this time of year. But no, I think those are good. I think, they always have like a bajillion coming out the week of or whatever, except next week it's going to be Black Panther.
Yeah, I know. Shout out to Not Another Teen Movie. I actually really love that movie. It's with Chris Evans, and that's a really good one. Yes, Black Panther comes out next week.
So excited.
Alex and I talked about that for a good hot minute on the latest episode of The Good Brothers. We got into a huge argument about just expectations about going into a movie. What makes it okay to give movie a little slack this way or be a little bit more hard on that way?
Your expectations are too high?
I think his expectation. I think he's going into Avengers Infinity War kind of ready to say it's not as great as he thought it should be or that we all thought it was going to be. And I told them, well, you gave me crap for saying the same thing about Justice League and Batman versus Superman. And of course, Alex, when he doesn't want to get into an argument, says that's not a good example. So I stuck with it though, because I'm like, yes, it is. You can't tell me that when Man of Steel and Wonder Woman come out in between those two movies and they're great. It's a whole thing. Listen to the episode. Yeah. It's on the network.
I'm just
The Good Brothers. It was a great one. He calls you out on it, so you better listen to the episode.
He always calls me out on
There's a huge
something.
rivalry going on. Any last thoughts about Valentine's Day? Oh, they made it to the end of the episode. This is part 1 of our Pizza Night with Niki and Mike Valentine's Day special. What do you want to say? What are we doing? I know I got a lot of work to do the next 7 days because what is part 2 of our episode of Valentine's Day special?
I'm so excited. So anyone that knows me, and especially Mike, knows that I am a huge nerd, history nerd, everything. So I thought it would be really cool since our episode next week will drop the day after Valentine's Day. To have like an outlaw infamous couples Valentine's Day. So we'll talk about some of the great couples, mostly the outlaws. That's just where my heart lies. I'm a huge crime buff. Like I love that stuff. So
how dark are we gonna get? Like, can we go Elaine Bornos type of dark? Like, how dark can we get? Is Bonnie and Clyde the darkest we could go?
No, Bonnie and Clyde's probably on the lighter side. I've been listening to a lot of crime podcasts and I'm really loving it. So I'm talking like Black Widow type of crime. So I'm excited. I think it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a little bit different than what we normally do. So we can talk about it. We'll get your thoughts. After listening to all these, I'm never getting a life insurance policy because I'm afraid Mike's going to off me for it. So.
I have a lot of last podcasts on the left to listen to. I have a lot of true crime, case files.
Shout out. I want to be on you so badly.
I got to go deep into the web of YouTube and down that rabbit hole. It's going to be a long, long, long 7 days.
So excited. It'll be so much fun.
So, yeah, that's going to be a really cool one. Thank you for sticking with us at part 1 of our Valentine's Day special 2018. It's going to be a really fun one here on Pizza Night with Nick and Mike on episode 2. Nicole, we have a Blackhawks game coming up. We have Black Panther. And we have Valentine's Day. We have a lot of cool things that we have coming down the pipeline. So any last words? Any last thoughts?
No, I hope everyone has a wonderful Valentine's Day. We'll be catching up with you the day after. So I hope you guys all enjoy yourselves. And try and stay warm for all of you Midwesterners. It is freezing out.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of snow, so please make sure you guys drive safe. Leave early enough. Don't be assholes, even if you got a big old pickup truck. Remember, not everybody else does, so you're not the only one on the road. Look out for everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode of Pizza Night with Niki and Mike. You catch us everywhere in the universe. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Mercado Airwaves. I'm on Twitter at mmercado2333. She's at edmatcha89. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, itunes.com/Mercado Airwaves. Do us a huge favor, like, rate, review, and share us over there. If you are a Android user, if you have us on Google, don't worry, we have you covered. SoundCloud.com/Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Every one of our shows here on the network, every single one of our interviews are brought to you by our amazing producers over at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. If you would like to get these episodes ad-free before anybody else, or if you would like to get your brand out there to a huge, diverse group of audience, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. And of course, if you would like to see everything behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/MikeMercado2333. For the lovely Nicole Mancha, I am Mike Mercado. Thank you so much for joining us on the very first Valentine's Day special. It is part 1 Valentine's Day special here on Pizza Night with Niki and Mike on Mercado Airwaves. Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Mercado Airwaves is brought to you by supporters at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can see all of Nicole's work at typingwhentipsy.wordpress.com. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for joining us here on Pizza Night with Niki and Mike, here on Mercado Airwaves.